This is my lovely audience. During the pandemic, sourdough bread went viral on social media. When I first saw videos, I was overwhelmed thinking about how I could make it at home myself. I love to try new things and I love all things bread, and so learning about sourdough has become a fun hobby of mine. I didn't start making sourdough until 2024, and now that I know how to make it, I bake at least once a month. Today I'm going to walk you through the steps that it takes to make a loaf of sourdough bread, starting with mixing your ingredients, then developing the gluten, then letting the dough ferment, then shaping it, putting it in your refrigerator overnight, and then baking it the next day. There are a few ingredients that you need in order to make a loaf of sourdough bread. You need bread flour and a sourdough starter. You also need water and salt, but you probably already have those. So according to Science Insights, sourdough bread uses a living culture of wild yeast that is produced in a starter. This is my starter. It's a mixture of roughly equal parts bread flour and water. Once you combine the ingredients, you give it more bread flour and more water every day, and after about a week, it starts producing its own natural yeast. So compared to other types of bread that use instant dry yeast that you can find at any grocery store, sourdough uses this. After you mix up your ingredients, you want to get them really combined well. I like to knead it for about 5 minutes so that it looks more like a dough. Then you want to let the ingredients fully come together and let it sit on your counter for about an hour. After you let the ingredients come together, it is now time to start developing the gluten in your bread. Gluten is the protein network in bread that gives it its structure. Natasha Kreitz, who's been baking sourdough for 15 years, has a blog called My Daily Sourdough Bread. In it, she talks about a specific technique for developing gluten called stretching and folding. She says that by pinching your dough, stretching it up, and folding it over itself, it can make for a more tender and spongy final loaf. After you develop the gluten, it is now time to let your dough ferment. This period is called bulk fermentation. Bulk fermentation can take anywhere from 4 to 10 hours, depending on the temperature inside your home. I keep my house at around 70 degrees Fahrenheit, and it usually takes about 5 hours. An article on WebMD says that because of this lengthy fermentation process, it can actually act as a prebiotic, and for people that have a gluten intolerance, it can make it easier to digest compared to white bread. After the bulk fermentation, it is now time to shape your loaf. I like to lay my dough flat on the counter. I fold it into a log, and then I roll it into a tight ball. After you shape, you want to put it in your refrigerator overnight. This is called cold proofing. Cold proofing just further develops the flavor of your loaf, and it gives it that distinct sourdough flavor. The next day, it is finally time to start baking. I like to bake my bread in a really hot Dutch oven. Baking it really hot gives it that nice gold crust on the outside. So this is the loaf that I baked today. Yesterday, I followed these steps. I mixed my ingredients, I developed my gluten, which gave it that nice spongy texture, and then I let it ferment on the counter for 5 hours. After that, I shaped it into a ball, and then today I baked it in a very hot oven, which gave it a crust. For some bakers, sourdough is more than just a pandemic fad. It is a lengthy and scientific process that results in a delicious and nutritious loaf of bread. Here's my audience.